Hey guys, today we are going to be working on a 2JZ GE, which is the NA version, which this one is a single turbo converted over, but it's the NA car with the crossover intake manifold, unlike the forward-facing manifolds. We are doing the heater core lines and also new radiator. They were all stock from 1994. The heater lines were all good, but we decided to replace them anyways, and the radiator blew out, which is why we're replacing the radiator. We have a Mishimoto unit that's going in. It should be a direct fit. They usually make a good product. And then we have some HPS silicone couplers that are gonna for the upper and lower. We also have a PHR, Powerhouse Racing single turbo conversion kit for the heater cores. So we'll see how that fits on here. I know they're showing a lot of it on the GTE, but we will see what that looks like on the NAT cars. So we'll go from there. I did already remove everything. So fortunately, I thought about doing these videos after I removed everything, and I figured we could just quick recap. So that's where we're gonna go and recap first. We'll do the removal of the radiator, just what I did, and then we'll go from there. Okay, the radiator removal was easy. Just take out 2 clamps that hold the radiator down. He actually had his coolant box was relocated over here. I relocated that, just took that off to get it out of the way. Fan shroud, to remove the fan shroud, you take off the 4 bolts and you slide this. If you want to, you can slide this cover off this bottom part here, and what that does, that leaves an open area for the fan to slide through. So you don't have to take the fan or anything off. You can slide the whole unit straight up and out. Remove the upper and lower radiator hose, which is pretty self-explanatory. Lower ones would be down in that corner down there. Also, to get rid of these spring clamps, I actually like to use this. I actually bought it off Amazon years ago. Works great. It's $45.25. I think I paid $25 for it, 20 bucks for it. It is a spring clamp removal tool. This one's on a wire, so you can get this anywhere you want, and then you just close it, clamp it in, and it works great. I use it a lot. My other thing I used a lot are the lineman's pliers. You can usually get on with those if you can get to it. In this case, I could use a combination of the two. That worked, and I also had to cut a few off. With the, as you can see the pieces here, I had to cut some of them off in the back side for the heater core lines. So we'll look at the heater core, how that goes, and the throttle body coolant, and we'll do that next. Heater core lines are running from here over to this back middle part here and down to this other fitting that's down there. All right, so one runs down and up. Now this was stock, this crazy conglomeration of tubes. This one actually was the one that runs across the intake there. This is sitting in the middle here. So I ended up cutting most of the tubes, getting in with the clamps, pulling the clamps out and pulling them off. We're gonna simplify it with that PHR kit. That'll make things a lot easier. Hopefully it fits nice. We'll have to see. It should fit everything, but I've not seen them on NAT cars. So we're gonna give it a shot before we make our own kind of stuff up, but we may have to modify it. This fitting back here, as you can see, is not easy to get to. And the way they had the clamp on that, I actually had to come in with I went in and used just a regular hacksaw, mini hacksaw, came in and I hacksawed this off. The clamp off. I just came in like this and with a little finagling of the blade, you know, you can kind of get in there, and I just took my time, worked it, cut the fitting, and removed the fitting like that. You might be able to get a grinder or something in here. You can see here I cut the fitting. The biggest thing is just take your time. You don't want to cut through. I mean, the big thing is I'm getting rid of the hoses anyway. So if you cut through the hose a little bit, it doesn't matter. It's not like you're trying to take it off, but they had the clamp facing in, and it was actually touching both sides of the lifter valleys. So whoever put this motor back in, this motor was out years ago, before I started working on the car. And they had it facing in, so you could literally not get anything in there to pull the coupler off. You can get to it easy, You can get to it very easy if the valve covers and everything are off. However, if you notice, to get all of the valve covers and that tray and all that out, you actually have to remove all of this upper intake manifold stuff, which is not easy to do on these NA cars. Now the GTEs, the turbo ones, don't have that. They will go to a forward-facing intake. But this one hasn't been converted over yet, and we may down the road one day, but he's limited to a bunch of other things for the low 400 horsepower. Okay, I set the throttle body, just set that back on there just to show what it looks like. It's not, you know, connected back or anything, but you have to remove your TPS, your idle air control, and these we've capped off. That's actually for the variable runner. All that's been removed previously. Those are actually high temp caps over there that we got from McMaster Car. I can post some numbers for those if you want, but they hold up a lot better than the cheapy rubber vacuum lines. They cracked within, I think it was within a few months on this car just because of where they are in the heat. To remove this, you do have to be careful because there is a bracket that connects on here down below everything, which we'll show when we put it back on, and that is connected to the front, but it's hard to see, especially with a single turbo conversion. It's hard to see and hard to get to, so you have to pull that off, and I usually will drop that down. I'll drop that down where it is, and then you can take the rest of the throttle body off and pull the throttle body forward. Now this still had coolant in the throttle body, which we're going to put back in. We're going to run the lines for that because he does drive the car in the wintertime. So, you know, this car gets driven a lot. It really does. It's a 94 Supra, but he drives it all over the place. So we're trying to keep it kind of as stock as we can in certain aspects and areas to make sure that it is still functional and it doesn't hurt power or anything like that, at least where the level he's at. So there's really no reason to get rid of it other than maybe to save some tubing and things if you wanted to. But in his case, we're going to keep it. We're just going to try to keep it as stock as we can with that kind of stuff. As you can see, there's the water neck from where we took the upper radiator hose off. And right below that, there's a fitting. Let's see if I can get the light down there. There's the fitting for the water. That goes down underneath, up through here, comes up underneath, and connects to that rear fitting. I left it off so we could see that rear fitting on the throttle body. Then that flows through. And this other side, the other fitting, is right there on the side. That comes down, goes to that little fitting there. Now those fittings weren't too bad to get to. Just a helpful tip. I ended up, best way, because it's very, very, very hard to get to that fitting down in the back there, I disconnected it up top first, fished a little bit through, and then just started to slowly feed it out as I pulled the throttle body off. There may be other ways you can do it. You know, that's fine. That's up to you. Top one I pulled the throttle body off, and then pulled the other one off. And then the throttle body, the whole throttle body can come off and opens everything else up. Now you can get in to do the heater core lines. Let's get ready to start installing things. I am probably going to install the throttle body, get all of that stuff done first, the heater core hoses and everything, while I got room up here and I can move around and I'm not bumping the radiator. And then we'll go from there. Okay, we're back with the heater core line installation here. The shorter hose looks like it fits really well. Also, note, remember to put the clamps on, and before you put the hose in, and look at where you're going to want the clamps, where you can get tools in, where you can get it out. Especially if you know, you got to rearrange things a little bit, or you pull the motor out later on or whatnot, and you find out, oh no, I should have put that clamp in different to get to it. So always think ahead as much as you can. So that hose works good. It's not clamped down yet. I will do that then. Although we found out it does look like with a GE, the NA version, it is definitely not a direct replacement. You can kind of tell by the pictures on their website that I was a little worried, but I figured it was worth it even just to modify it. To give it a shot. But if you notice, we'll put this hose back on down here, and you can see already we are not anywhere near where this actually needs to be. I apologize. This is I'm using my cell phone camera yet, but you can see that's not going to work. The GTEs, the turbo versions, I believe their neck down there at the bottom is much flatter for the downpipes, since it is a different setup, which in that case it would work. Now, it does look like everything will work out lengthwise. All we need to do is we'll put just a straight nipple couple in there. Should be, not a big deal, 2 more clamps. But if you're installing this on the car, on a GE, on an NAT car or an NA car or anything like that, just note that you will need more clamps and you'll need a coupler, or I mean, in a case like this, after kind of looking at it a little bit more, you could even just use two elbows in a straight section. I mean, you can make different custom stuff, but I like the pre-bent hoses. I think they just overall look a lot nicer. There's less connections. Unfortunately, this one's a little long. It's kind of sad because they could probably just make a shorter one and use one for the NA cars, and I'm quite sure a lot of people would buy them. I would buy them, but just to give you guys a heads up, that's where we're at. So I'm going to cut this down, put the connector in it, and then we'll bring it back and we'll see what it looks like after the end there, and then we'll get on to the radiator. Okay, so we modified the hose. As you can see, it actually works out better as well. We needed to clock it a little bit. You can see the writing is there, and then the writing's over there. It's kind of unfortunate that we had to cut such a nice hose up, but we ended up taking about a good couple inches off of it to make it fit. But it does fit really nice now, so we're going to go and reinstall this quick. See if we can put it in with the one hand here. I got my clamps already set here. Make sure I got the right ones on the right sides. Oh, here. Yeah, because I put it in with the wording up. Okay. And there we go. Now the nipple was a 3/4 inch is actually the size that it was. It fits a little tight, so it's probably more of an actual metric version. But it did slip on. It fit, it fit good. The clamps got tight. So really, there should be no reason why it wouldn't work. So we're gonna just tighten these suckers down. Apologize for the camera movements and things. This is just my cell phone camera right now. But definitely, if you're still watching this, shoot me some comments. Hit the like button a little bit. I don't want to sound like one of those guys, like and subscribe, but that way I know if you guys want me to make more of these videos or not, and you can comment and let me know if you want me to make more of these videos. And I might go out, I'm hoping to go out, maybe get a GoPro or something that I can set up, get a little bit of better quality, a little better video, just overall a little better everything. Now you can see, now I'm running into a problem with this. So probably what I'll do is I'm going to go and get a ratchet and just tighten it up that way. Something a little shorter, and same thing with down there. But here you can see, just simple things you're going to run into. So I'll get this all tightened up. This one's all tightened down, fit really, really well in there, fit really good. And again, so the kit does work. You just might need to, you're going to need to cut that down a little bit. Now mine, I had actually modified the bottom fitting down there and everything, and cut off the other one and rotated it up and did more of just like an L shaped there, because I have a much larger downpipe than this. I have a 4-inch downpipe and 4-inch exhaust on my Supra. So do take note of that, because you can see if you start running anything too much bigger to get the space and things, you may need to reroute and reconfigure your fittings down here, your tube. Now that tube does run all the way across. It's bolted into the bottom near the water pump. So it's not easy to get to. So if it's something where you're doing a turbo bigger turbo, bigger downpipes, that kind of stuff, it may be wise to go and change it before you even start putting the turbo on, because once it's on, it's kind of hard to get into then at that point. Like I said, I modified mine so it comes much closer up, but I removed that extra nipple there and it comes almost straight up. See if I can find pictures of that, but that's also a little side trick if you want to, if you're doing that. But we'll put these on, and then next thing we'll get back to the throttle body coolant passages. Okay, the heater lines are all set to go. I ran this one down. You can see where it's down there on the fitting. This just comes up. We'll loop around, go through that little clamp. Now what I did was I ended up using some of the old, on the OEM hoses, I just took the rubber piece off of there, slid it off the hose so I can put it in where the clamp is, because these silicone hoses are very soft, so I don't really want to just run it right on that hose. Ran the other hose. Now you can see how I had to connect it up, run it down and underneath the intake, and then it'll come out underneath the water neck there. But you can see how close, look how close everything is in there, and this clamp assembly is inside there. Now if you notice, I put the clamp up top by the little throttle up valve there, up top, so that this is as smooth as possible. Because what was happening is, before I run into, you will actually hit the valve cover when you push this back in. If you don't have that clamp oriented right, you will run into issues. So now we'll just put this thing back on here. You can see it slides in, just misses the turbo on this one. And we have to pull this down, and you can see how easy these hoses are. So that's one of the hardest parts, is to run this and pull this through. There we go, flop it down. Now, thankfully with these cars, and you can see how close that is. Thankfully with these cars, intake's on one side, exhaust is on the other. So we're not at least running into issues with, there we go, that just goes right up nice against there. We'll put the bolts in, but you don't have to run into any issues with the heat from the exhaust and things like that. I mean, you can pretty much, I just ran this down around, and then this will come right up in. I have to go around this harness the other way. I just can't get it with one hand. But that'll come down, up, in, and connect to that fitting on the bottom there, and we should be good to go. It's not interfering, it's in between the rails there, and then we'll start hooking everything up, and then we'll come back and we can see the finished product, how everything is. Get this all tightened up, and put the 4 screws up top, 4 nuts down on the bottom. You got to remember, here's this little bracket. You can see the bracket here. In fact, we can put that up and on, and you can see how that will fit. It's very hard to do this one-handed here, but say if you guys like these videos, I'll have to break down maybe and go buy a GoPro or something that I can mount and sticky mount. There we go. See how that bracket fits on there real nice. But I'll get a GoPro or something like that, and that will help me get better views, and I can mount it and things. But right now I'm just using my phone camera, so I apologize. Things will get better. If you guys like the videos, let me know, comment, and we can get better. I work on a lot of stuff like this all the time, things that hopefully interest some of you. But we'll get back as soon as I'll get everything all tightened up here, get everything mounted up, and we'll keep moving on. Okay, we got all the lines in. I ended up routing this one back here up around behind the hook, and then that goes into the throttle body up there. That worked out better than trying to use the clamp. The clamp made a weird S-bend, which the original one did have kind of an S-bend on it, but as you can see, everything looks like it fits good. It doesn't touch anything. I left a little outer covering on there, got all the throttle stuff hooked up, got the charge pipe back on. You can see over here how that comes down from underneath that throttle body in there. You can't even see the clamp. So there's no way you're going to get that off without pulling the throttle body out. So that's why you have to kind of fish it up through. It's down around in between the intake valve, intake runners, and comes up, and you can see it right there in the middle, right underneath the line. That also doesn't touch very many things. I could kind of go up underneath the harness with it. So just using the regular tube seemed to work out good. So next we are going to start to install the Mishimoto radiator. Should be a direct bolt-in. Also, side note, make sure when you pull the old one out, you keep those rubber bushings in there in the bottom, because they usually come out with the radiator because they stick to the radiator. Put the fan shroud back on, and we'll be good to go. Let's go drop this radiator in now. All right, guys, she's back together. Got the radiator in. Move this light here. I'm letting it purge out. Just had the car running a second ago. Fan shroud's all back on. I realized that we do have to put the fan shroud on. I forgot on this one, but everything looks good. I got everything all buttoned up. Car sounds good. Like I said, I just had it running a second ago to check for leaks and things. Doesn't look like there are any leaks going on. Check back in there. Nope, everything looks clean. Everything looks dry. So we'll just we'll let it purge for a little bit more, and we should be good to go. But the car runs, starts right up. Doesn't seem to vacuum leak or anything like that. Even Tilly came up to join us. Say hi, Tilly. This is our bully, Tilly, helping me out. But that's that. We'll let her purge a couple times. I usually start it, run it for a minute or two, and shut it off, and then you'll hear it gurgle out a little bit. Then I'll add and just kind of keep repeating. Another side note too, even if you have a lift, when I usually have it up on the lift, I would do this stuff, but we don't have a lift in here yet. But I usually try to get the front of the car up off the ground a little bit, because that will help get all the air bubbles to the front. So usually I'll put it up on ramps. Even if I have it on the lift, I'll set it down on a set of blocks or something of that nature, and just to get it up high enough. But everything's good. I hope you guys like the video. I hope it's informative and helps you out. We'll see. Like I said, leave some comments, leave a like if you want, and that way we can kind of see if I can keep doing some of these videos or get a little bit better camera, or kind of go from there. It's going to be a little scarce because, like I said, it is January right now, so it's cold. It's getting in the 30s now, and I got the doors open and everything, and this is non-insulated and all the other good stuff. But anyways, hope everything's good. Hope it helped out. Thanks. Bye.